Okay, so now you got yourself a real fancy schmancy digital camera, or maybe a not so fancy schmancy one. Either way, it doesn't matter because I'm willing to bet that you've poked around the menu system inside that camera and have come across a few things and said to yourself, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be using that. And for a lot of people, one of the most mysterious functions inside their digital camera is the one known as the histogram. Now, histogram is actually a cool little feature that will let you know at a glance whether your image has got the correct exposure or not. And if you hang out for just a minute, I'm going to show you how easy it is to use your histogram right after my fancy schmancy little intro. Here, check it out. And you're back, so let's continue on with our really fun digital camera histogram tutorial. I know, you may be sitting there going like, I don't know what a histogram is and I'm not sure if I'd ever want to use it. Well, it's a good thing you're on this video because not only are we going to take the mystery of what that is away from you, we're also going to show you how to improve your photography with it. You know, today's digital cameras are awesome, and even though they have these really great big LCD screens on the back, they're just not big enough because they can still fool you into thinking that the shot you just took was properly exposed. It's not until you take it home and look at it on a bigger screen instead of that small compressed one you have on the camera that you're going to end up saying, oh man, what the heck happened? This looked perfect on my camera, but on this monitor here, it's just way too dark. You see, that's where knowing how to read a histogram can really make a difference in your photography. You'll know right then and there when you take the shot whether you got the right exposure or not. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know how to use it either. Nope, all it takes is a quick glance at the histogram and you'll instantly know whether or not that image that you just took was the proper exposure or not. Basically, all a histogram does is take each pixel in your camera, look to see how bright or dark it is, and then plots it on a graph. For example, let's say you had a 4-pixel camera and you took a picture. What the camera's going to do is look at the first pixel and say, what is that? Oh, there's like no brightness at all to this. So I'm going to plot it over here. Then it'll take a look at the second pixel and say, wow, that's 100% bright. Let's put that over here. And then it's going to take a third pixel and go like, wow, that's about 52% bright. Let's put it here. And it'll look at the fourth pixel and go like, wow, that's 52% brightness again. Let's put that right up on top of the first one. And there you have it. That's how it plots it. Except with your camera, you're going to have like a 5, 10, 15, 20 megapixel camera instead of 4. And what that's going to do is give your camera a lot of information and end up giving you a neat little shape like this. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a histogram. It's like a unique fingerprint of an image that just happens to give you information on how well it's exposed. Now the trick to reading a histogram is to look at its shape in relation to the graph. Let's say, for example, that you took a picture and noticed that most of the vertical lines in your histogram were all bunched up on the left-hand side of the graph. And you'd see on the right-hand side there's little or no information at all. What this is going to show you is you got a severely underexposed picture because there's no highlights, no bright points in your picture. Now, if you were to take it again, do some adjustments to your camera, and get this kind of histogram, well, now you've got the opposite. You've got it overexposed because you got all the information is on the right hand side of the graph and little or no information on the left hand side. So no dark areas means no contrast, means it's going to be overexposed. What you do want to have is a histogram that kind of looks like this. You see, in the middle here is a camel hump, where the majority of your information is going to be in the middle of the graph with some shadows on the left hand side and some highlights on the right hand side. However, a lot of where that camel hump is located on the graph will depend on what it is you're photographing. For example, let's say you took a picture of someone wearing dark clothes. Well, what's going to happen is the majority of the information is going to be dark in the picture, so you're going to have the histogram kind of skew over to the left. On the other hand, if you took a picture of someone who was wearing light colored clothes, well, you're going to have a histogram where everything's going to be skewed over to the right. Even though a histogram may be a little heavy on one side or the other, You're looking to make sure that your histogram has at least some information across the whole spectrum of the graph. You don't want to have it where you have missing information. That's when you're going to get in trouble and find that you're either going to be overexposed or underexposed. To see how this applies in a real-world situation, let's take a look at 3 images that have the exact same subject matter but are shot at 3 different exposures. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a sunset in Cancun, Mexico. And I'll tell you, when I took this shot, it looked awesome on the screen on the back of my camera. But when I flipped on the histogram, this is what I saw. It is underexposed, and you can tell by how all the lines are bunched up on the left-hand side and there's very little information on the right-hand side. So I changed the settings on my camera and reshot it and got this histogram instead. Got that classic camel hump. It's got information on the left, it's got information on the right, and as you can see, it's much better exposed. Now there's something I want you to understand. Even though this image is slightly underexposed, it's a perfect exposure for creating a mood that suggests dark, brooding clouds. Whereas in this exposure, what it does is it magnifies the sun's intensity and gives the whole image a lighter, more heavenly feel to it. Where the first image, the clouds got all the emphasis, in the second image here, you can see that the sun gets more of the emphasis. For this third image, you can clearly see it's overexposed even without looking at the histogram. But when you do look at the histogram, you can see that not only are most of the vertical lines bunched up on the right hand side, there's even the beginning of some clipping happening. Now clipping is what you get when you only have half a camel hump in the histogram because the other half is off the graph. Your image is either going to be blown out with highlights or you're going to lose a lot of detail because it's too dark. Overexposure or underexposure is not right or wrong. Everything is going to depend on the kind of picture you're trying to create or the kind of feeling you want to generate in someone who's looking at it. So if you want a dark brooding kind of feel, you're going to have to go with something that may be underexposed. If you want more of a heavenly feel, you want something that's a little more overexposed or properly exposed. Either way, it's going to be up to you. Just remember, the histogram is only there to help you know at a glance if you're actually getting the kind of exposure you want. So there you have it. That was a pretty easy tutorial, don't you think? If you liked it, then be sure and leave a comment below. And if you want to see more great videos on how you can shoot amazing photographs with your camera, all you have to do is head over to instanthotshots.com. Just click the link below and you'll be taken to instanthotshots.com. See you over there.